The next paradigm of innovation. How is regulation embracing new technologies? AI, AR, VR, blockchain, products, tools and opportunities. Angelo Dalli, 111 Holdings. Alexander Tomic, Affiliate Republic. Carl Brinkat, MGA. Alexandra Fetisova, DAO.Casino. Simon Planza, Planza Law. Moderated by Joseph F. Borge, WH Partners.
So, good morning, gentlemen and ladies. This is a topic at heart for me, so I'm all about innovation. And actually, I'd like to start by introducing my esteemed panelists here, most of which I have been knowing for many years now. So I'd like to start with you, Angelo. If you can give a very brief introduction of yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Angelo Dalli. I've been an entrepreneur for many years, set up different companies, exited from them also successfully in gaming, and now I'm focusing on artificial intelligence and specifically how AI and blockchain and also gaming tie up together. And this is something quite exciting, you know, to see the industry evolve over the time.
Alexander?
Hi guys, my name is Alexandra Tomic. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Alea. We've built the first virtual reality casino 3 years ago, Slots Million. And if you wonder where you've seen me, I'm the half of the face on the SiGMA cover.
Carl?
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Carl Brinkat. I'm part of the legal team at the MGA. Part of our job is both legal, international affairs, as well as policy. So given the MGA's initiatives on innovative technologies, that's also something I'm involved in, obviously.
Yeah, hello, my name is Alexandra, and now I'm the project manager at DAO.Casino. DAO.Casino is blockchain protocol for gambling industry, and we're providing the software to build decentralized games. So I'm here, and we're working on our project for over 2 years, and here to present something and making the hackathon as well.
Hi, good morning. Simon Planzer, partner of a gaming law firm and advising many gaming companies and technology companies on this island, and good to be back in Malta.
Good, so we're good to go. Angelo, how is AI already changing the gaming industry as we know it? And what should we expect in the future?
Yes, I mean, artificial intelligence is changing a lot. It's disrupting many industries, and the gaming industry is one of them. I was happy that I was one of the first to produce an artificial intelligence platform many years ago in the gaming industry, which led the way also for adoption of a lot of different AI that you see that is commonplace. I think that AI will disrupt the industry, for example, in areas where we're relating to player behavior, where you try to predict and also manage player behavior in a responsible way, giving bonuses at the right time, making sure that you follow the right budgets, making sure that you put personalization. We've already, have this technology, but I think AI is going to take it to the next level. Also, when it comes to responsible gaming, spotting the behaviors that may not be so desirable in players, making sure that the players have a safe, fun experience, and making sure there is someone giving you effectively a VIP level of service, even when you wouldn't be able to afford such a service if you had people doing it. Regarding the future, I think that in the future we're going to see AI pervade every kind of experience. You're going to see better recommendations, better game experiences. I also think that the marriage of esports and gaming, I think is going to be the next frontier that AI is going to enable. I think we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff in that space with hybrid models of traditional gaming and also gambling together, mixed together with AI, enabling it.
Any comments from the rest of the panel about AI?
I'd like to say something. We've seen actually, I think it's Omni Casino. I don't know personally the guys that are behind, but the pitch they come with is about AI or machine learning, especially in terms of compliance and in terms of experience they're giving to the players. And you see this pitch coming back again and again, and when we go into conferences, we meet people that are now starting to aggregate themselves around groups that wants to provide artificial intelligence to the gaming industry. And the two main things are a recommendation engine, of course, and live segmentation. And when we talk about live segmentation, we can see bonus abusers, we can see VIPs, and of course we can see players that may have problems of gambling addiction. So it's a very interesting field that we're seeing now. We're a little bit late there when we look at industries like Netflix, for example, Spotify. They've done that for years, but what we're getting there. It's interesting to see that.
Interesting. Alexandra, so augmented reality and virtual reality were the next big thing a few years ago. Did they live up to the expectation? And do you think there's still opportunity for AI and for VR and AR to actually have a say in gaming, to have a punch in the gaming industry?
So definitely, you remember 3 years ago, 2 years ago, VR was a big thing. Everybody was talking about, myself being quite vocal about it, and it obviously didn't meet the expectation for several reasons. Technology is complicated, and there's another reason that's specific to our industry, is that if we want to reach the players that does the headset, we need to go to the gaming stores. So it's Steam, for example, or Oculus Store, and we will never get there. We'll never get there because the players that are behind, the young people, and the owners of this platform won't let real money gaming application go there, which I believe is a good thing, actually. So there's a real conflict between real money gaming and virtual reality. Now, on the other side, could we do an application in social gaming? Why not? We're actually shifting our application to make it a social gaming application. And we're seeing actually, I don't know if you've noticed that PokerStar released the application in virtual reality 2 weeks ago. So basically we're looking at what they do, if it's going to pick up or not. But I see a lot of complications to get a real money gaming application into VR.
But specifically on VR, do you think that the main issue is the fact that you actually need to purchase external gear?
Can you repeat the question?
That you have to purchase external gear?
Yeah, no, okay, that's the issue. And for anybody that has tried VR here, except the mobile VR, you need an engineer to connect your headset to the computer. First of all, you need a computer that's a powerhouse, and you really need someone who knows how to do it and connect it. That's actually one of the main problems in VR, is you need someone that knows how to make it work.
Okay, any comments from the panel? Okay, so from Alexandra, we go to Alexandra. Okay, so AR and VR were the next big thing a few years ago, but certainly blockchain is the next big thing right now. And who better than Alexandra could tell us about this? So why is there so much hype about blockchain, and how can it disrupt gaming?
You see, you're talking about disrupting, but people who really involved in the blockchain technology, not just in payments or cryptocurrencies, they don't talk about the disrupting. It's another opportunity, or it's just problem solving. So blockchain can solve some problem or give you another opportunity. What we are doing in our project, we are trying to create another industry. So it's decentralized industry, and we want to give people an opportunity to attend the gaming industry. We want to change their mind. We want to give the opportunity every game developer to create their own decentralized game without being connected with anyone. We want the blockchain gives the opportunity to give to play such games in any points of the world, in any places. So blockchain just create the new market, create the new decentralized market, but it's not disrupting at all. Why people talking about disrupting? Just because they are really scared, because they don't understand the technology. And I'm here to teach and to teach why the technology can help and why the technology the blockchain can open the new opportunities, not just about disruption.
When we say disruptive, it's in the positive sense, of
Yeah.
course, that it will make fundamental changes to how the industry works. But can we explain to the people in front of us today what are the main advantages that blockchain brings to online gaming mainly?
Yeah, first of all, it automates everything. So you don't need to caring about the processing stuff. Using the smart contracts, everything goes automatically, and you don't need to use third parties. So we're building the protocol which distribute all fees inside of the system automatically. The another opportunity is the regulatory problem. So blockchain, all transactions inside of the system when players games are regulated by technology, so everyone can check. It's really open source. So that's why it's another opportunity. And next opportunity is the getting fees to invest in the games. So if you want, for example, if you are creating your own game and you don't have any fees to create the house age, you can put your game to the system, to the blockchain system, and you give an opportunity everyone to invest your game and to get the fees as well. And when it will be released, everything will distribute it automatically as well.
So basically, in a nutshell, the main advantages could be listed as more efficiency for the operator, more transparency, I believe, for the operator, for the regulator, and also for the users, and possibly also more security from a wider sense.
Yeah, they don't need to keep the funds of the players, because the players is totally the wallets is totally on the side of the players. They don't need to care about the security.
Angelo, AI and blockchain have a huge potential coupled together. What's your...
Yes, I think that AI and blockchain, I think AI will enhance the blockchain offerings. I think it will make it more intelligent. It will also make people, I mean, when we talk about the blockchain, and of course, most of you are interested also in the regulatory aspect. I mean, blockchain is going to create a lot of auditable, transparent data. So you're going to be able to check the logs, make sure the transactions are done in a proper way, that they are compliant. But of course, it's going to generate a lot of information, maybe more than currently is available to regulators. So I think AI will be needed to help navigate this mass of data, to help operators understand the patterns, make sense of it, and of course make sure that it is done in a socially responsible way. I'm lucky to be on the new task force also of the AI regulation, and this is something that we will be thinking about on how to make sure that the AI regulation also fits with the blockchain, fits with gaming, and make sure that the puzzle fits right.
Any other comments? Okay, so Carl, now is your moment. So blockchain, AI, augmented reality, virtual reality, and all these innovative technologies. How can a regulator cope with all of this innovation in this space?
Not easily.
How does the MGA manage?
Well, not easily, but I think it emerged very clearly from the panel we had this morning, where there was our CEO, Heathcliff. The fact that we involve the industry is a very fundamental part of it. So, I mean, the ethos, both of the MGA and of the country as a whole, is to embrace innovation. And the way we do it, I like to see it as threefold. First of all, we involve the industry in the steps that we take. So if we're going to make amendments to laws, if we're going to allow the use of a certain technology, but we still need to get to grips with how it can affect our regulatory objectives, we involve the industry because the expertise is there. That is one thing, and that is a very fundamental thing. Another thing is the way we look at it. We look at technology as an enabler. So you go to blockchain because, for example, you want players to trust more in the fact that they are going to get their money. So you implement smart contracts so that they don't need to rely on the operator, because maybe you haven't had the time to build that trust with the player yet. You want to create a more immersive experience, so you try something in VR. You want to automate and facilitate certain processes and certain processing of data, so you go to artificial intelligence. It's an enabler. So the way we look at it, we try and shift away from the detail of it and from the detail of technology. And the starting point is, how is the use of this technology going to affect the operator's ability to adhere to its obligations? How is it going to, well, what are the risks involved? And that is why we have frameworks like the sandbox environment, which we launched for VFAs and DLT, for example, but also how can it help? So it's usually very much a two-sided coin. And then there's the attitude part of it, which I would like to believe, but obviously I'm biased in this. I would like to believe that we have the right attitude and that we take an interest in the technology. Even the people within the MGA, they're all very interested in technologies and in developments. And I think that attitude also helps us when we speak to the industry and when we learn from the industry and we teach the industry what we expect from it. It's very much a two-way street, and that attitude, I think, helps it along.
Well, obviously, a regulatory framework does not only involve legislation, but it also involves the processes, the policies, and the attitude of the regulator. And I think it's extremely important to understand the technology in order to be able to advise on it or to be able to regulate it, as it is in your case. But is the MGA looking at these technologies, particularly blockchain and AI, as something that could be extremely beneficial in its role as a regulator as well?
Absolutely, yes. First of all, the fact that the law enables us to look at these things is also a benefit, obviously. So the fact that it is relatively technology neutral from the operator's side is a benefit as well. But for us, yes, absolutely. So if you look at what is one of our major concerns as a regulator, to ensure that it's not prejudiced. It is the players getting their money when it is due. So if we look at smart contracts, if we look at the transparency and auditability of blockchain transactions, this is something that can help. If we look at the data that we ask operators to submit to us in order for us to, for example, implement our risk-based approach, artificial intelligence can help us make sense of that data in an easier way. So this is something that, yes, I mean, our primary focus as a regulator is to ensure that the industry is run well, but ensuring that we are in a position to do so. That also means looking at technologies for our own use as well, yes, definitely.
Okay, so Simon, we know that the Maltese regulator has always been at the forefront of innovation, always at the forefront of trying to be more friendly towards new business models, new technologies, but it's not the case everywhere. How are other regulators adapting to these changes in technology and business models as well?
I'm happy to reconfirm what you say. The MGA has been at the forefront, and I suspect that this will be even more the case in the future under the new regulatory regime, not least because the MGA, the powers of the MGAs have been strengthened. That leads me to the first comment, that often the problem is not always with the regulator himself, but it may also be at the government level or legislative level, not giving enough breath to breathe for the regulator. So usually regulators struggle with innovation, and from my experience I see a couple of factors why this is the case, and if you permit I will outline three of them. One is expertise. Of course it would help if you had in-house with the regulator technology expertise. So of course one of my recommendations would be to get some people in-house who really have the expertise in these fields. If you don't have, then there's another way of doing it, or an additional way, and the MGA has done that very well with the industry, which is reaching out to the industry in an active dialogue, inviting submissions. So I would say that's the first point, expertise. The second point is the question, are you trying to regulate each specific new technology, or do you try to pursue a holistic, comprehensive public policy? Why do I say that? If you try to attempt each time to regulate a new technology, you will always lag behind. Whereas if you have a comprehensive, sound public policy, you don't have to reinvent the wheel for each new technology. I can give an example, AML. There are good practices, sound practices in place. There are public policy principles in place. There is the risk-based approach. There are methods in how to assess the risks when it comes to money laundering. And of course, when you have that and you have confidence in that system, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I think these are a couple of factors that seem very important. And maybe a third aspect would then be the time factor. Imagine if you have each time to address a new technology and engage in a whole process of legislation, public consultation with, let's say, the regions and all the political players that are in place, it will take forever. So by the time the legislation is out, it's already outdated.
You spoke about expertise, but haven't we all learned on our own, doing a lot of self-learning? And Carl is one of them. I'm pretty sure you didn't follow any university course about blockchain and innovative technologies, but I'm pretty sure you did a lot of self-learning. So isn't it back to the attitude?
Pardon me?
Isn't it back to the attitude of the regulator?
Yeah, the attitude of having the willingness to onboard such persons, either in-house or as an advisor, close advisor. It doesn't necessarily always have to be, in this case, somebody from blockchain, just a technology-minded, innovation-minded person that comes from those fields. That would already suffice.
But the regulator is not the only problem. Actually, the major problem is the legislation most of the times, right? So, and again, in Malta, we always try to draft legislation in a way that it is as technology neutral as possible, even creating tiers of legislation by having the framework law in the main act, then having some more details in the regulations, but the real meat of the regulation is generally in directives, guidelines, policies, and these tools. Is that the trick of making a successful future-proof, let's say, regulation?
Absolutely, you touch on a very critical point, because what often goes wrong when regulating such aspects is that the legislator tries to pack too many things in the primary law. And what you then have is you have an inflexible law that is not technology neutral, for instance, or not able to adapt to new technologies. And imagine, depending on the country, how long it can take to change primary law. It can take many, many years. So the first step is to move things from primary law to secondary law, and have primary law focus on public policy goals and the instruments how to achieve those goals. Similar statement could be said at the level between secondary law and the powers of the regulator. So again, too many things often addressed in secondary law instead of giving discretion to the regulator to address these issues. In some countries it's better than in others. Denmark, for instance, it's rather light to adapt the secondary law. In other countries it's very difficult, again, and it can take many years.
Okay, any other comments from the panelists?
Well, in our case, we have the benefit of having enjoyed and continuing to enjoy the trust of the legislator. So, speaking from the MGA side, we are given the flexibility to delve into the detail ourselves. There's also another thing which I think is very important, and when it comes to matters like it's particularly important in this case when it comes to DLT and tokenization of DLT assets. The fact that the national stakeholders which are involved also communicate with each other is something which I feel is very important, and something which in Malta perhaps also aided by the fact that we're so small. It's something that we do have. So if you take DLT and VFAs, we've been in constant contact with the MDIA, with the MFSA, and creating a holistic framework, not just from the gaming regulation side, but more generally, as a jurisdiction, creating a holistic framework. I think it's important, both for legal certainty, as well as in order to enable business to function in a regulated way, but in a way which embraces innovation and can actually move forward as a business.
Just to clarify for our audience that it is not so much savvy about the new blockchain regulatory framework. When we talk of VFAs, we're talking about cryptocurrencies. So.
Yes. And the MDIA is the Malta Digital Innovation Authority, which is the regulator that has been set up to look at the technology itself.
Angelo, you have seen quite a lot of different businesses in your life. And Malta has always been your main jurisdiction. But I'm pretty sure that you have seen and made comparative analysis of quite a few different jurisdictions. What gives Malta the edge, and why do you think that many other regulators are not catching up?
I think one of the things that gives Malta the edge is that operators are not here for the Maltese market itself per se, but actually they want to be regulated by the Malta Gaming Authority. I think that actually gives an edge, especially because the laws are modern, they have been updated, they have actually taken on the concerns of the industry on board. And I do think that this nimbleness does give Malta an edge. And the fact that operators have self-selected Malta to be regulated, I think that in itself shows, gives one of the main edges. I think the accessibility of people, the feedback, I think the process in which you can appeal and discuss things, I think that is also the flexibility, yet with a good, strict framework that actually regulates, that makes sure, that there are no bad actors. I think this is all, coming to great. And also the innovation trust that there is in Malta right now is literally unprecedented almost anywhere. I mean, you don't find countries that, are doing blockchain, doing AI regulation, doing all the stuff all the time at the same time. So I think we're really at the forefront. And in fact, this is something that I think the role of regulators and the regulated, and especially the lawyers in the audience also, I think it's going to change the way that things are done. Because if you have tools that can actually ensure compliance in a better way, that can cut down on the amount of manual labor, I think this is going to change the way things are done in the future. So it's quite exciting to see it play.
We have just a few seconds left. Are there any questions from the floor? No? So any final comments from the panelists? So we can close it here. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day at SiGMA today, and particularly in our regulatory conference. And I'll see you around the stalls. Thank you very much.